Why did you make me do this? You're fighting so you can watch everyone around you die!
Welcome to Cineverse Theories. I'm your host Tyler, and with Season 2 of Invincible on the horizon, I'm going to give you a quick recap of everything that happened in Season 1. It doesn't matter if you're a newcomer or simply need a refresher, this video will cover every important detail you need to know before Season 2. The season opens up with the Mauler Twins attempting to storm the White House and assassinate the president, but before they can succeed, they face off against Omni-Man and the Guardians of the Globe, a superhero team that is basically a parody of DC's Justice League. Fun fact, the Guardians of the Globe are all voiced by actors from The Walking Dead. That's because Robert Kirkman, the creator of Invincible, also created the Walking Dead series. Several Walking Dead cast members are featured throughout the series, including the main character Mark Grayson, who is voiced by Steven Yeun, aka Glenn from The Walking Dead. Omni-Man, however, is portrayed by another voice you're probably familiar with, J.K. Simmons, who's been part of 3 different Spider-Verses as J. Jonah Jameson. Anyways, back to the recap. Later that day, Omni-Man, aka Nolan Grayson, Mark's father, returns home where he and his family discuss Mark's soon-to-be-revealed powers. That same night, his powers appear for the first time, and it's revealed that he has the same exact powers as his father. Mark, who is dying to become a hero like his father, creates a makeshift costume and goes out into the world in an attempt to stop crime. However, his initial attempts don't go as smoothly as he planned. During his first patrol, he ends up causing a lot of collateral damage, including destroying a building and injuring several innocent civilians. Once his dad discovers what he's been doing, he takes him under his wing and gives him the stereotypical hero talk. He then takes Mark to his friend Art to get his first legit costume made. Here's another quick fact for you. Art is voiced by another Mark who is no stranger to the nerd fandom, Mark Hamill. Hamill is best known for his roles in Star Wars as Luke Skywalker. He also played the Joker in the Batman animated series and several animated movies and games, and he voiced the Hobgoblin from the 90s Spider-Man series. After a talk with his dad about his worries and insecurities, Mark finally lands on a name for his superhero persona, which is Invincible. He then heads back to Art to get his suit and begins his pursuit of justice. Meanwhile, back at the Guardians of the Globe's HQ, all the heroes have been summoned to a base for unknown reasons. Then, one of the biggest plot twists of the season is revealed. Out of nowhere, the heroes are ambushed and picked off one by one by Omni-Man. The episode ends with all of the heroes dead and Omni-Man unconscious and badly injured. As we go into episode 2, you'll notice that the title card gets a little splatter of blood on it, and the title card will progressively get bloodier for each episode as the season goes on. Kirkman also used a similar method for the Walking Dead title card. You can see the logo start to decay to match the decaying zombies in the show. The Global Defense Agency arrives at the Guardians HQ, and they discover the gruesome aftermath of the Guardians' demise and Omni-Man on the brink of death himself. He's then rushed to a hospital where he is visited by his wife Deborah and Mark. However, Mark rushes off when the city comes under attack from an alien race called the Flaxans. Mark tries his best to defend the city, but things aren't going so smoothly. Luckily for him, the Teen Team shows up, and they're basically a parody of the Teen Titans. Together, they manage to push back the Flaxans, who retreat to their interdimensional portal. Over the next few days, we see Mark trying to balance his everyday life while also adjusting to his new life as a superhero. Then the Flaxans return to Earth with a vengeance, now much stronger than they were before thanks to their time bracelets. As the Flaxans are about to get the upper hand, Omni-Man intervenes and saves Invincible and the Teen Team. Together they defeat the Flaxans. After the battle, Omni-Man travels to the Flaxans' homeworld and annihilates their entire planet to prevent any future threats. The mystery surrounding the Guardian's death deepened as Darkblood, a demon detective, begins to investigate the case, suspecting one of the Guardians as the killer. During the Guardian's funeral, Cecil Stedman, the GDA director, offered Robot the opportunity to create a new team of heroes through a competition. This marked the birth of the new Guardians, consisting of Atom Eve, Rexplode, Duplicate, Monster Girl, and Black Samson. Mark wasn't allowed to compete in the competition because Omni-Man preferred to train him himself. Soon after, Cecil recruits Mark and Atom Eve to take down the supervillain known as Doc Seismic. Meanwhile, the Mauler Twins escape the GDA Prism with the help of Robot, but during the escape, one of the twins dies. We then see Darkblood visit Debbie at her home to ask her about Nolan, explaining that the Guardians massacre didn't make sense to him, and pointing out that only one hero survived, her husband. He wanted her to help him find out more about Nolan, but before the conversation could go any further, the lights came on and he vanished. Nolan appeared in the kitchen and felt the cold in the air and knew Darkblood had been there. Nolan continues to train Mark and tells him about his homeworld Vitrum, but leaves out some key details that we'll get to later in the video. Darkblood's visit causes Debbie to begin her own research on Darkblood. Cecil shows up at the Graysons' home to ask Nolan to secretly monitor a group of astronauts headed to Mars, but Nolan declines. Mark overheard their conversation and decided to go to Mars in his father's place. However, his mission took an unexpected turn when he found himself facing the Martians and their dark secret, the Sequids, a parasitic alien race capable of controlling its host. Mark and the astronauts managed to escape, but one of the Sequids had secretly attached itself to one of the astronauts. Back on Earth, Nolan confronts Darkblood, and the demon detective begins to question Nolan, who denies any involvement and leaves. While Mark is away, Debbie and Nolan decide to take a mini vacation that opens the door for Darkblood to do some investigating at their home. But during his search, he is captured by Cecil's team and sent back to Hell for his relentless pursuit of the truth. Mark, who is now back on Earth, faces the challenges of balancing his personal life and his superhero duties, which are now starting to put a strain on his relationship with Amber and his academic performance. We then see Debbie find Darkblood's diary, which hints at Omni-Man's involvement in the Guardians' deaths. Debbie's suspicions grow when she discovers something significant on Omni-Man's bloodied costume, leading her to question her husband's action. Meanwhile, the surviving Mauler twin clones himself once again. Once they're finished, Robot shows up and asks them to clone Rex's DNA. Later, Titan, a dude who can turn his skin into a rock-like material, seeks Mark's help in taking down his boss, Machine Head. But Machine Head knew they were coming and was prepared and had several supervillains waiting for the attack, leading to a tense showdown. Titan and Mark were completely outmatched until the new Guardians arrived. Together, they defeated all the villains except for one, Battle Beast, who severely wounded Mark, Black Samson, and Monster Woman. But before the GDA and Cecil can show up, Battle Beast escapes through a portal. Cecil then takes the bodies of the villains to be analyzed, and the wounded heroes are taken back to a GDA facility to be treated. There, the GDA studies Mark's blood in order to find a weakness to take down his father. We see that Mark survives his near-death encounter with Battle Beast, but Monster Girl and Black Samson are still in comas. A few days later, he joins his friend William on a weekend getaway to stay with his friend Rick at college. He takes Amber along in hopes of resolving their issues. But things don't really go as planned. Soon after they arrive, they are attacked by a cyborg. Now, long story short, there's a twisted scientist named D.A. Sinclair who's going around turning humans into brainwashed machines and wreaking all sorts of havoc. He abducts Rick and turns him into a cyborg, but Mark and William are able to free his mind, and together they take down the scientist. Then Cecil and his team show up to take care of all the bodies. Again. Oh, and William discovers that Mark is invincible in the process, and Black Samson and Monster Girl wake up from their comas. Back at home, Debbie's curiosity about Omni-Man's costume led her to make a shocking discovery, revealing her husband's involvement in the Guardian's death. She confronts Nolan, who eventually confesses but offered no explanation, leaving Debbie disillusioned and asking him to leave their home. Cecil's men show up and take Deborah to their private facility, and it's revealed that he had known about Nolan's betrayal all along. Meanwhile, at the Mauler Twins hideout, Robot reveals why he wanted to clone Rex's DNA, and that was so he could create a new body for himself. Once he's in his new body, Robot then tries to take the Mauler Twins back to prison. However, he is called back to the headquarters. Mark, who is looking for some comfort, goes looking for Eve to talk about what has happened between him and Amber, which leads to them having a heartfelt moment with each other. Meanwhile, a strange occurrence in the sky catches their attention. They decide to investigate further, only to witness Omni-Man engaged in a fierce battle against an alien sent by Cecil to destroy Omni-Man. As the fight continues, Cecil calls Eve and tells her to get back to the Guardians HQ immediately. At the same time, we see the Mauler Twins bring the Immortal back to life with the intention of controlling him. But in a blind rage, he rips off the device and heads straight for Omni-Man. He arrives at the alien battle shortly after and blindsides Omni-Man. The two engage in an intense battle, but Omni-Man puts an end to it with a fatal blow to the midsection of the Immortal. In a last-ditch effort, the Immortal tries to gouge out Omni-Man's eyes, but is then cut in half by Omni-Man on live TV. With the alien and Immortal now dead, this is where Nolan reveals to Mark his true identity as a Viltrumite. Much like the Saiyans from Dragon Ball Z, the Viltrumite are a race known for conquering galaxies. They send their people to other planets and prepare them for conquest. Whereas the Saiyans are more of a battle-hungry race that conquer planets for money, Nolan believes it is his destiny to do this. Mark is in complete shock at this revelation, but despite his doubts about his ability to stand up to his father, Mark decides to fight him. Their confrontation escalates quickly, and even though Mark is clearly outmatched, he continues to resist his father. In a drastic move, Nolan takes the fight to Chicago, resulting in widespread destruction and massive casualties. Mark remains undeterred in his determination to stop his father. As the brutal battle unfolds, Mark is pushed to the brink of death by Nolan's overwhelming power. However, memories of their relationship throughout Mark's childhood are the only thing that stopped Nolan from delivering the final blow. He then blasts off to space as Cecil's team shows up to help Mark. Meanwhile, the Mauler twins are recaptured and returned to prison. Mark then spends some time recovering in the hospital, during which Cecil attempts to conceal Mark and Deborah's connection to Nolan's actions. Once Mark is back on his feet, he returns home with his mother, Eve, Amber, and William. But shortly after, Cecil contacts Mark, informing him about an impending visitor from space. Mark then shoots into space and meets Alan, an alien sent to warn Earth about the Viltrumites. Alan tells him that the other planets are going to stand together and take down the Viltrumites. He also warns Mark that now, since his father has left Earth, the Viltrumites will be coming, because once they set their sights on a planet, they do not give up without a fight. To which Mark replies, "I'll be ready." What do you think we'll see in Season 2? Let us know in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next one.